Change. It is a constant. It surrounds us. We have all experienced it and lived through it. We have all been transformed by it. It is imprinted in the seasonal changes of nature, bringing us abundance. And it is part of everything around us and within us. An intricate part of your life and ours. It happens at its own pace, with unique complexities, like a symphonic rhythm of the stars across the African sky. A renewed shift in energy, an evolving reality moving us forward. As Capricorn, we have embraced change along our journey, leading us to our significant achievements in the last 4 decades, urging us to grow our footprint across the Tropic of Capricorn, from Namibia to Botswana. Our purpose of improving lives through leadership and financial services by being connectors of positive change is our North Star. Every Capricorn member strives for it today and tomorrow. Change is inevitable. It transforms us, but it does not have to be negative. Like us, you are the creator of your journey and the author of your unique story. Your journey inspires us, and we are invested in your success. Let us journey together and make change positive as one. Capricorn Group.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Lithon. I'm the Capricorn Foundation Executive Officer. Welcome to our NGO Capacity Building Workshop this morning, hosted proudly by the Lithon Foundation and the Capricorn Foundation. The theme of this morning's session is strengthening the management of NPOs to foster socio-economic developed communities in Namibia. We have invited a number of experts this morning to come and share their skills and expertise. And I'm not going to go into the detail of that. That privilege is for Marsha. Marsha Reed is the CEO of the Lithon Foundation, and she will just give you a more detailed overview of today's program and also the various topics that we will be discussing. Just for some background and context, the Capricorn Foundation was established in February 2020, yes, a month before COVID started. We are a registered welfare organization, and we are also a Section 21 company. We are the main vehicle of Capricorn Group's CSR activities, and we are very privileged to be funded by our subsidiaries, being Bank Windhoek, Capricorn Asset Management, and Intrepo. Furthermore, we are also very privileged to be supported by the group. We've got our team from finance that helps us with our financial statements and management accounts. We've got a secretariat that helps us with our minutes and meetings and documents. We've got a whole brand and communication team that helps us with our stakeholder engagement and events like today. We've got a legal and compliance team that backs us up. So we really understand that we are privileged as a foundation to have not only the financial backup of a group like Capricorn Group, but also the skills and expertise in the group. That is why it is very important for us as a foundation to give back to other NPOs and NGOs who do not have the luxury of getting the funding and the support. And that is why we compiled this program to really help to capacitate you even more with very valuable information around topics such as finance, brand management, and also compliance. I know the compliance landscape has been changing, and even for me, I am not sure every day what we are required to do, but luckily I have someone that I can just phone in our compliance department for help. We really applaud you that are on the front lines every day, that are making a very positive impact in the communities that are addressing the social challenges that we face in Namibia. And we are very happy to have many of our projects represented here today. As Capricorn Foundation, we support, I think, currently around 35 projects across Namibia. And we are very proud to make a positive impact in all the regions of Namibia. So I want to thank Marcia and Very for putting together today's event. Thank you, Lithon Foundation, for partnering with us. As Capricorn Foundation, we are really committed to collaboration. We do not want to do anything on our own. We see the value in strengthening relationships and networking, and that is one of the objectives of today, is also for you to re-establish networks, build relationships with other organizations in your field, because resources are scarce, and when we combine our efforts, we can make such a bigger impact. So that is just a short introduction from my side. I really hope that you will find today of value and that you will walk away today inspired and also enriched with valuable information. So, Marcia, then it's over to you. Thank you.
Nicely dressed. When we start an organization, we start with passion. Eugenia, I will never forget, starts with 5 or 10 kids that you feed, and 8 years later, you've got 150 kids, and you've got donors asking for finances and statements, and you've got all these little slippies lying around, and it's difficult to get them organized. So hopefully you will help us to get organized and to understand why our financial control is so important.
Right. I just want to express our gratitude and thanks to Madam Chair and the organizer of this beautiful event. Thanks for inviting the finance team to come to share our knowledge and tips on the financial management and reporting topic, and to this esteemed audience. I'm Fabiola Shiurutwe. I manage the Management Accounting Division in Bank Windhoek. With me here, my colleagues on my far left, I've got Glory Indongo. He's the head of the Management Accounting team. Following Glory, I've got Diolinda Shikalepo, Manager for Procurement, Compliance and Contracts. And then close to me here, it's the manager of the financial accounting team in the Bank Windhoek, Helena de Koning. Thank you very much. That's our team there. Now, if we talk about the topic we said is the financial management. So we say financial management means planning, organizing, directing, and controlling the financial activities, such as procurement, utilization of funds of the enterprise resources to achieve the set goals and objectives. If the accounts are not managed properly, the organization will face some difficulties. Now, in other words, it is, and very simply said, it is the appropriate use of the business financial resources. How can this be done? This can be done through different activities, but I'll just highlight a few, which is important. First of all, it's financial planning. Financial planning involves setting financial goals, forecasting future cash flows, and determine how to achieve the goals. And then after you've got this plan, you need to set a budget, which is the budgeting. This involves creating the financial plan and allocating the resources to achieve the plan that you have set and the resources, and to utilize the resources properly. And then after you have your budget, then it's the financial reporting, which is the last part in the queue. The financial reporting is the preparation of the financial statements and report to stakeholders about your organization financial performance, because in most cases we are dependable on different stakeholders, donors, and so on. Now, the NGOs are accountable to donors and those who support the organization. A good financial management system can help and assist them to track its own expenses, plan future expenses, and submit timely financial statements to the donor upon request, which will in return help strengthen the organization trust and the long support from the donor agencies. Now we've got a quote here. This is a very important quote. Be aware of small expenses. A small leak will sink a great ship. And that is by Benjamin Franklin. On that on that note, we will move on into like just those that I've put there, just to go into detail a bit of it. If we talk about budget, one would probably ask, like, what is a budget? A budget is a detailed plan of actions for future period expense expressed in numbers. It is forward-looking, but often it also consider like a historical pattern. So you need to check on your patterns when you come to put your budget. And in simply terms, or simply put, it's just knowing where your money is coming from and where it is going. Now, why is budgeting important? First, for the strategic objectives, so about the expansion, do you want to expand? Do you want your organization to expand? When do you want it to expand, and how do you want to expand it? So budgeting forces the owner to plan for the future, to develop the overall direction for the business, foresee any problems, and develop future solutions. And then it also assists or helps to better manage your finances. We've talked about the finances that we're getting from our donors, and so knowing where your money is coming from and going helps you to better manage your finances and make more informed decisions about how to allocate your resources. And that's the informed decisions that we're talking about there. Knowing the priorities and importance. Budgeting assists identifying priority activities and help in allocating resources accordingly, especially if there are any competing needs for your organization or your business. Then we have like the donor attraction and engagement. So the donors, they would want for you to allocate your resource or to use your resources as much as successful as possible. So when you have a budget, at least they would see that the company or the organization or the business that we are donating to, it's really on top of the finances. And then set standards for internal controls. Internal controls are very important. It helps control the use of the company resources, and then the communication tool to plans. It also helps to convey the significant information about the capabilities of the business and making better decisions. So therefore, budgeting is essential for your small business's success. By creating a plan and maintaining a workable budget, it will get you off the right track financially. Now here, it's just like small basic tips for budgeting. It's number one, keep your small business finances out of your personal finances. This one is very huge. Commingling business and personal money is very easy and can lead to complications down the road. It is also risky to use personal money to fund your business, as it increases your personal liability. And then list all your expenses. Next, you will need to know exactly how much your business is going to cost to run daily and monthly. You list all your expenses. You make short-term and long-term projections with your income. Budget your wants, and then we have know what you can expect from your business income. You set a saving goal. This one is also very important. Set a saving goal for expansion or security. Starting a saving plan for the business is very important, because small business owners often face difficulties saving money, since many have very tight budgets when they start. Saving from the beginning would help ensure you have some cushion in tough months, and it will put you in that routine. You look for areas where you can cut costs and really be very realistic with your budget. Make sure you have realistic expectations of your income and your expenses. Do some research and don't expand too quickly. Right, and then most importantly, because we have the account, the NGOs have accountability towards the donors. We need to submit or prepare financial reporting. Financial reporting is basically just the process of documenting and communicating financial activities and performance of the organization to the stakeholders over a specified period of time. Now, there are a few that can be, it can be like, it is balance sheet and income statements, but then the financial reports are prepared for internal use. So that is for the organization itself. This use is to monitor expenses in the organization, and it's also importantly for external use as submitting the reports to the donor agencies. As said earlier, the NGO is accountable to donors and those who support the organization. Therefore, the donors rely on the financial reports to make wise decisions, well-informed decisions about whether to continue funding the organization or not. And it also creates an opportunity for prospective donors to come in and also start donating towards the organization. However, the organization itself, it's also gaining some information on some. It also gains more on the reports, because they assist them to see how the performance of the organization or the business. So on a monthly basis, the actuals, you need to prepare your actuals. And these actual results that you have prepared, it is very important to compare those actual results to the budget that we spoke to earlier on. And if you have any variances, being it positive or negative, it is very important to analyze these variances to see where did you go wrong or what did you do good. And that in itself, it helps you to make more informed decisions. It will help you to say, like, okay, this we've done wrong here, so we need to improve. And it also would help you in your expansion. You will see whether you have any money remaining so that you can expand your business. With that is the part of the planning, the budgeting, and the reporting presentation. So I would give to my colleague Helena Tekoning to take you through the internal controls and value-added tax. Thank you very much.
Okay, good morning all. Welcome, and let me start. So firstly, I'm just going to touch on a few important aspects to look at, especially during an NGO, that not everybody is aware of. Okay, so first we're going to cover what is the purpose of internal controls. So mainly it is to be better. So you want your company to be better, you want your reporting to be better, you want to avoid fraud. There's a lot of aspects. So if you look on the screen, you will see to minimize risk and protect assets, ensure accuracy of reconciliations and integrity of financial information. You promote operational efficiency, adhere to policies, rules, regulations, and laws. So when we go a bit more into detail regarding internal controls which are important, I would say we have to look at preparing reconciliations as well as creditors' reconciliations to ensure accuracy of financial information and payments. If we look at reconciliations, we compare third-party data or external calculations being done with the financial data in your records. This means to ensure that it is correct, the financial data that you're actually presenting in your reporting. And then if the second part, we go to segregation of duties to prevent double payments and fraud. So segregation of duties is splitting it up. So especially with payments, to actually someone prepare the payment or prepare the reconciliation and somebody review and approve it. So I know sometimes there's only a few people in a business, but still this is very important to keep on doing, because this will prevent a lot of incorrect payments being made and fraud, taking self for yourself. So for us, comparing creditors' reconciliations is comparing statements with suppliers with your own records. So this is good to do before you do a payment to a supplier or to anybody, because it ensures that you don't do double payments. So it's always good to prepare creditors' recon before payments. Then on implementing of a tracker sheet per project to remain within budget and avoid unnecessary spending. This is very based on what Fabiola said about budgeting. It's important to track, and especially rather track each project separately to ensure where you're over and underspending and ensure that everything looks in line. This is also to ensure that your prior month's spending is in line with this month, that you review your whole project, that you don't, last month it was 100, now it's 300. You should question and investigate why did this happen. Monthly expenses is supposed to be a very little fluctuation of 1 to 10%. So that's always good to put it on a sheet, actually put it in a way that you can have a look, you can see the difference between the months so that you can identify fluctuations, investigate and correct. That is one of the main reasons for internal controls, is to prevent and correct. So if we go on, I'm going to touch a bit on VAT. So NGOs which are registered for Section 21, they are exempt from income tax, but not always from VAT. So for value-added tax, you can, if it is outside your normal stream that you are generating extra revenue by selling T-shirts, by selling tickets, by having events where you obtain additional income, then you can be compliant to need to register for VAT. So so the main fact is it's only exempt from income tax and not from VAT. So if we look on, so grants are exempt, so all donations, sponsorships are exempt from VAT. But as soon as you have additional sales outside your normal business, then that will have to be evaluated and then registered if needed. So yeah, like the type of, it might be selling of T-shirts, ticket sales. But the main tips here is, if it comes to that point that you reach 500,000 and above on revenue, on sales specifically, then you need to register it for VAT as soon as possible. So, and then thereafter, I would say best to consult with a VAT specialist to ensure each scenario is different, that you see how you should treat what input and output VAT, but that's the point if we get there. So, and then, yeah, to keep all valid tax invoices for your VAT audits. So just a few pointers on that. And yes, that's all from my side. I will pass on to Diolinda now. We will have time for questions on the end. Thank you.
So I'm just going to talk you through procurement and also the environment of how we are moving into a digital space in terms of procurement, and also the mistakes or the errors that we make when it comes to procurement. Okay, so when we are talking about procurement, most of us look at it as buying whatever we need, whether it's a service or a product. But procurement in reality goes above and beyond that. It's not just buying and then you get whatever you're sourcing, whether it's a service or a product. You also look at the factors that affect your organization if you are buying from whoever you are buying from. We also look at what is the effect of that product or service environmental-wise. We are looking at social, we are looking at government, we are looking at ESG factors. So the world of procurement, yes, procurement is buying products and services that we need, but we also look at where in the world in terms of procurement are we moving to? Traditional procurement is when you buy, you get your product, the right quantity, the right quality, delivered on time. But we are now moving away from just traditional procurement, and we are now moving into the area of sourcing, strategic sourcing, whereby you are looking at the internal factors that can affect your procurement, the external factors that can affect your procurement, which is socio-economical, environmental, ethical, political, technology. So the world of procurement is ever evolving. And as you buy your product, you need to also think about, do I really need what I'm about to source? Okay. Sorry, just give me a moment, okay? Okay. So if we are looking at the world of procurement, we want to think about what are the common mistakes that we can make that can result in the misappropriation of funds. What is it that we can do to mitigate any risks that come with all the errors or all the mistakes that can, or anything that can possibly go wrong in procurement? So when we are talking about the risks, we are looking at buying something that we don't really need. Stationaries. We misjudge the amount of money that we put in stationaries when we are buying these things for the organization. You're buying 10 pens, but you only need 2. Where does the rest of it go? So those are the questions that you need to ask yourself when you're buying. Everything that you're buying to maintain operation of your organization, you need to look at it in the space of, do I really need all these things that I'm buying for this organization? Are we going to use these things? Or are we throwing away some of it because it gets lost or it gets expired? Or are some things going missing that it now becomes for personal use and no longer for the organization? All those kind of movements can result in misappropriation of funds that are allocated to you in terms of budgeting, which was being talked about now. If your budget is $500 to buy stationaries, it doesn't mean that you must buy stationaries for $500. You must ask yourself, is the stationaries that I need really worth that $500? Okay. And then we look at the contracts that we enter with our service providers, our suppliers. Are we managing the contracts with our suppliers, or we are contracting and then we let the contracts flow on its own? Are we looking back at our contracts and evaluate the performance of our suppliers? Are we also getting into conversations with our suppliers and ask the questions of, do we need to continue with this contract? Because the moment it becomes business as usual, you need to ask yourself the question of, do I need to continue with this agreement? Is it still adding value to our organization? And then we look at the poor selection of suppliers. When you look at sourcing suppliers or searching for whichever vendors that you need for your products, you must look at what are the benefits. When I enter into a contract with these vendors, what are the benefits? Is there a possibility for me to get a discount so I can save money that I can put somewhere else? Can I create a relationship with this supplier? So those are the type of questions that you need to look at when you're thinking about creating relationships with your suppliers that you need to buy your products and services from. And then we have the macro factors, the factors that are completely out of our control. Political, environmental, the government, all these other factors, social factors. Just because these factors are outside does not mean you are not a contributing factor to it. how you conduct your business, how you source, the relationships you create, the impact on the environment, all these things, you contribute to it. So you now need to think about, in terms of getting into these contractual relationships for me to buy this product, to source, how am I positively impacting the factors outside, and how are those factors affecting my organization? And then you need to think about, sorry, can you hear me? Okay. Then you need to think about, where do I see my organization in future in terms of these factors? Is it maybe changing that it can bring an improvement to my organization? Or am I maybe stalling behind, and as procurement evolves, I'm going to be left behind if I don't keep up with these factors? Okay. Then we move over to the future of procurement. In the beginning, I spoke of traditional procurement, where you are just thinking about the quantity, the delivery date, and the quality of the product you've ordered. Now you need to go above and beyond that and look at the factors that I've talked about, the external factors. What are the factors that can impact my organization? And then you need to evaluate the impact of those factors. How do they affect my organization? Is it going to be negative, or is it going to be positive? In most cases, it's both. So now you need to weigh your options. How is our organization going to move in terms of procurement? The spending of our funds, the relationships that we create. Are we having, if our suppliers are affected by maybe a new act that have been put in place, new legislation whatsoever, is there alternative suppliers that I can move to so I can still maintain my operations? And then we look at negotiating our contracts. When we get into contracts, you don't just take what is given to you. You need to think about, what can I get? What can I benefit from this agreement? You need to think about, and it's not just value-wise. You need to also think about things like guarantees and warranties, all these other factors that come into play in terms of your agreements. Then we look at, in terms of, before I move away from negotiations, the other factor that we overlook is the payment terms, agreements. You also need to consider the benefits of putting payment terms in place. What do you get? What is the benefit that you get from just paying immediately when you have purchased something? Or what is the benefit of keeping your funds longer in your bank account, and then you pay 30 days, 15 days, 60 days later? All these factors of credit agreements come into play. And the relationship management then comes into play in terms of negotiations. How that contract goes determines how you can go about managing the relationship with your supplier and how you can manage that agreement going forward. And then we look at digital procurement. Sometimes we exaggerate the part of digital procurement. You need to evaluate the size of the organization. Do I really need to implement all this new technology, the ways of buying in a digital space? What works for your organization at the time? And how do you make sure that you manage your procurement well enough that you can still afford at some point to move with the other organizations that are ahead of your organization, that are bigger and can afford spending all this money in all this technology that comes with procurement, the e-tendering, e-procurement, the procurement catalogs, all these online things. They are nice to have, but evaluate the advantages and disadvantages of you implementing all those technologies in your procurement space. The one thing that we also need to keep in mind is, no matter how big or how small the organization is, sustainable procurement is very important. You look at all these vital factors. procurement is moving in a space where everything needs to look at sustainability. But sustainability is not just environmental, because most of the times we are focused on the environmental, the reducing carbon footprints and all these other things. What about economical, which is very important, but most of the times it's put aside? Supporting the smaller companies, the SMEs, that is sustainable procurement. Go around your small departments and understand which services, which products can we allocate to SMEs, so that we can create this collaborative relationship with these SMEs. Because in most cases, when you can't go outside the country because of factors that are affecting your suppliers outside, there are some small companies here that you might probably have overlooked, but can deliver the same service. So in overall, procurement is ever evolving, but I think the most important thing that we just need to keep in mind is the factors that affect our organizations, our stakeholders, most important, and also just how do we keep up with these changes without overdoing it? Because the moment you overdo it, you overspend, and you can't go back and see where exactly are the products that I'm buying or the service that I'm rendering, what is the benefit of it? And how much money can we get back? Thank you. I will now hand over to Glory.
So thank you, dear Linda. And thank you everyone for giving us this opportunity to speak to you guys. I was introduced, and yes, my name is Glory Ndongo, and I work at Bank Windhoek. So when we look at finance of the future, right? So we are cognizant of the fact that we are talking to very different organizations, right? Each of you, in terms of your finance journey, is at different places, right? And that's why we've also incorporated this aspect of the future. But before I go in, I must say that the discipline that my colleague spoke about here is not replaced. It's not replaced, because no matter, technology is not a solution, it's just an enabler. With technology, we've seen we have more technology in our lives, but are we less busy? Are we less stressed? Not necessarily. And now with the latest advent of technology, AI, machine learning, they keep saying, oh no, we'll only need to work 3 days a week. I'm not so sure about that, because I think there's something about human beings that we like to be active, and our work is how we contribute to society. So, okay. So in terms of the today's finance challenges, these are some of the challenges. I think the ones that really stand out for me is the multiple sources of truth, and sometimes you don't have access to the data. Sometimes our data is in paper form. Sometimes our data is in a warehouse somewhere else, and data is very, very valuable in today's world. You can see big companies like Google and Facebook providing services to us for free. But why is that? Because they want our data. It's not like it's totally for free. So even for you, when you look at your organization, you must look at where is our data? Where is our information sitting? Because information really is power in today's world. And then we have increasing regulations, risk, and threats as the world grows more complex. And another big theme that will come through is collaboration. Gone are the days of finance just sitting in the corner, crunching the numbers. Finance has to be in the business. And hopefully my colleagues that also work with us will know that finance at Bank Windhoek is in the business. We are not at the periphery. We are not bookkeepers anymore. We have to be part of the process from the beginning to the end. So those are the challenges, right? And in terms of the future, what do we see? So to the triangle is really what was the future, what was the past, where we were as finance, right? We are there, we get our invoices, we put them in Pastel or our accounting system, we crunch the numbers, we provide general insights, we do our reporting, and then to an extent, maybe your head of finance sits with the rest of the leads in the organization and they partner for value. But with technology, what's happening now is the time that you need to spend crunching numbers, processing invoices and the like is being reduced greatly with a lot of the technology that's coming in. We have AI, we have machine learning, we have smart capture. You know, I was talking to Veri. I know a lot of you are very familiar with Veri. And she said, oh, I don't know that this all applies to finance. And I'm like, yes, this thing of technology applies to each one of our areas. And if any of you go and spend your area, or whatever area you're busy with in your organization, and you just go to Google or YouTube, I'm telling you, you'll be surprised where the world is going. And I encourage you guys to do that. And then also leading the team. But you can see now with the future, there's a lot more focus on partnering for value. So finance shouldn't just be in the corner. When you guys go on your site visits, go with the finance team. Use that financial knowledge that they have, right, to help you guys deliver better for the organization. And the nice thing about you guys is the more money you guys can save on operational stuff, the more money you have to plow back into society. So it is just a win-win. So when we look at the technologies now that I was talking about, so, you know, it's really about, you know, using technology to shorten time, you know, and to increase the time that we spend on collaboration, you know. So bots are now being used to collect data, processing invoices, and also reporting. So now what happens to the finance team if that's taken away? That's a lot of our time. But the thing is, we are basically taking away the time that didn't add value, where somebody was just sitting there doing something that can now be done by technology, and now putting that person at your disposal to be used throughout the organization, right? There's also process automation for self-service, and then also collecting your data. Like I said, data is the enabler, and it's really the thing that really pushes organizations to the next level. And you guys have a lot of data. And organizations want that data that is on the ground. And as an example, in your world, you know, if you guys have better data in terms of what are the needs of society around the area where you help, when you prepare your proposal for donors, it will be a much better proposal. It will be a much stronger proposal because of this focus on data. So in terms of finance, you can see that we have changed quite a lot since the 1980s. You know, we went from reporting to descriptive analytics. This is basically when the computer helps you to describe what's happening. To diagnostic analytics, this is when technology helps you to solve what's happening. Predictive analytics, now it was telling you what is the future. To prescriptive analytics, which is telling you what you should do. So that is really the evolution of technology over time. You know, at our leadership conference, which was also put together by the brand team, they were talking about a company that was run by a CEO who was AI. So the lead of the organization was AI-based, and this was somewhere in South Korea or Japan. Marlies, I speak under correction. You know, or interns that are also AI, and they started comparing what is the output between an intern that is a person and an intern that is technology-based. And then finally, is just to show that not only does this enable the organization in so many ways, technology can also reduce costs. And this is from Microsoft, the company itself. So at the beginning, you can see that the line, which represents their revenue, and the number of finance employees was growing together until about 2007, 2008. When they put in technology, their headcount costs remained flat, and their revenue continued to grow. And this just frees up more resources, like I said, in your aspect to help society, to help the people out there that need it in our society. So yeah, that was our presentation. I hope there's still time for questions. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Glory, for that. What an amazing presentation. It's no wonder Bank Windhoek is in such good hands if I just look at this team. So just one round of applause to this amazing financial team. And I'm so sure they're going to share their presentation when we send out the video. All this, because people were making notes and there's a lot of words on it. Can I just get an indication that we do have financial questions? Oh, you answered them all. If you think of any questions that you would like to answer them, I would, for our time, can you please email it to either myself or to Very, that we get it answered by them and sent to everyone, because normally when you get a question, everybody actually wanted to ask it. So can I ask you, please send your questions, financial questions, to Very myself. We'll send it to the team. You've got like next week to answer it, and then we send it out with your slides and with the video. Thank you so much. You wanted one question. Ms. Jacobs?
Good morning. Good morning. Yeah, I have a question, and I always, maybe my heart is with my welfare organizations. I look at the slide. I think you was the one who presented the VAT, the tax exemption is not only for a Section 21 company. Even the welfare organizations that are registered, they can get tax exemption. And also, it is not only for the welfare organization or for the organization, but also for the donor, the one that who fund you. You can give your registration certificate also of the tax exemption form that you receive, and that a funder of donor can attach it to his tax assessment. And I also want to say that when I look to the topics, for me as the registrar, I have a lot of challenges in terms of receiving audited financial reports, because most of the time the challenge is with the organization who don't have the knowledge how to manage their finances, how they reach out to get some donors. So there's a lot of things like, do the organization have a financing policy that will manage how they will manage their finance? Secondly is also, do they have the ability, the capacity to write a financial proposal? And do they have the knowledge where to go and seek for funders or donors that will fund them in the line of their objectives and not beside their objectives? Because most of the time, when we are doing our inspections at welfare organizations, you will find that welfare organizations will rather go, for example, I'm registered for HIV and AIDS. So now there's a donor for income generating projects. So it is not in line with my objectives, but I will go for it. So actually you don't adhere to your objectives, and that is a very big mistake when it comes to us. And we look at your annual report and we see that you are not operating in line with your objectives that we registered you, and it will cause then a problem.
It's going to be addressed at the funding streams, the panel that's going to address that as well. Thank you, Ms. Jacobs, for making us aware of that. Thank you very much, team. Great to have you here. Thank you very much, Very, for putting finance.